Oh, my friends, welcome to the metal shop. You can see we're outside again. Another beautiful day here. It's been a couple of weeks since the last super beautiful day here. It's not even 70 degrees, no humidity. It is really nice. And what we're looking at here is the Explorer. You're just gonna have to trust me on that. But it's under there. And you can see I've got a couple of the danger radiation and radioactive decals on there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to paint these, and then I'm going to put this one. This is the Explorer body is like this. So if you imagine the angle, the front horn is here, the rear horn is right here. So I'm going to paint this, and then I'm going to realign. I'm going to take this one and put it over here, so we have like a small, a large, and then a small, kind of going up the axis of the guitar there. First kind of issue that I ran into is, if you remember, when I painted the Rising Sun stripes, I used that old BMW sunflower yellow motorcycle paint. Well, the paint I had made at the auto parts store, and it came out like a fire hose. You can even see some of it here in the foreground where you really got a lot of spatter, and it came out in big droplets. And that's fine when I was painting a solid color, because I could kind of hose it on and it would level off. But for this, I really can't. You're really trying to dust it on, so I am going to use the Krylon here. I've just tested them both inside, and this just sprays much better. The color isn't exact, but I think, on the back of the guitar, and without going A-B, you're not really able to go A-B like that. I think it'll be fine. This is kind of a relic, a rat roddy kind of pre-pro type of project. I wanted the paint to look kind of old and relic, so hopefully we'll just be able, and it's probably just going to be one coat, maybe a couple passes, but you really just want to dust it on. You don't want to hose it on. You put on the paint heavy, it's going to go under your cutout here. I can't think of the word for it right now. It's not going to come to me, but your template, it's going to go under the template. So realistic, these are just for, you put it on a wall or you put it on a door, and you just, no one cares about really what it looks like. And that's how I want it to look here. So I'm going to go to a time lapse, and we are going to get this going on. And hopefully it turns out great. We're just going to have to see. All right, well, I'm sure that's enough excitement there watching paint dry. I did end up having to hose it on there pretty good. The yellow, I remember especially that one, just doesn't really cover very well. So hopefully those templates are what the plastic they're made out of is very rigid. It does lay down very nice and very flat. So hopefully I don't get a lot of bleed out under from having to be forced to put so much paint on. But I'm gonna let this dry for a while. While you guys are watching that dry, I don't know if you could see me walking through in the background, but I had to get the bee spray. My propane tank is directly behind us, and I noticed an inordinately high number of wasps went in there, and they had a good nest, about half the size of a softball, going in under there. And we can't have that. I can't have the it's a big tank, one of those big submarine tanks, but I can't have the propane guy coming here to fill it and having to deal with bees. Although those guys, bees, they love the propane. They must carry around the bee spray with them to blast those stupid things, because they always build nests near your propane tank. Anyway, yeah, so I had to get the bee spray and blast them while waiting for that to dry. I'm going to give this a good amount of time, and when we come back, we'll take these templates off. We'll see how we did, and I'm going to realign and put the radioactive, the small one with the lettering, over here. I think I'm going to do it upside down. I mean, I could paint just the symbol, taping off the letters, and then putting the letters on the top, but I think that putting it, one right side up and one upside down is going to kind of look cool. So I am going to do that. But yeah, we'll this can dry as long as it needs to, because I'm not applying more paint on top of it. We're gonna put a completely new template on. So the whole drying windows and reapplying coats doesn't apply for this, obviously. So let's go do something else. All right, real time, it's been about 25 minutes or half an hour here. So let's see how we did. You know, again, thankfully this is a kind of a ratty type of guitar, kind of a rat rod-ish type. So we're not super duper concerned. That it's perfect. Try and reuse all this cardboard and tape. Be super cheap here in the metal shop. All right, moment of truth. All right, that's pretty reasonable. It's a little muted, a little faded, but that's kind of what we were looking for. Oh, all right. So that one we got some holidays under that. I can probably clean that off with some kind of paint thinner, some mineral spirits on a Q-tip. I can probably clean that up a little bit. And I did, like I said, I did have to hose it on. Maybe this template, this decal is cut just a little bit better than the other one. So what my plan is now is to put this somewhere here. We want to kind of get the spacing similar. Let's see. All right, we are about as far as I can reach. So that's a little bit too far away. Does it really matter? Maybe I want this one to be a little further away. That's a little tacky. Again, this is not rocket science. We're really not trying to shooting for perfection. When we don't hit it, that's fine. I think that's going to be good. Let's see here. Stand by while I go and get my tape. Thank you for holding. We're just kind of putting this here because I don't want overspray to get underneath and ruin. Oh, don't like bees. That was a big old bumblebee. Taking some curiosity in my project here. Probably got some karma coming for spraying those wasps earlier as well. And clearly we're not taking a whole lot of steps in pain here to. It's really weird how this template just did so much better than the other one. And again, this is the back of the guitar. This is just, you know, doesn't really matter. We're gonna kind of wing it. All right, I'm gonna shut up now. So what I'll do is I'll fast forward this part of me shaking the can and then painting. All right, well, that should do it. We're gonna let this dry again in the warmth here, not in the sun, but it is warm here, and come back and unmask this thing and see how we did. Cool. All right, well, we've changed positions, as you can see. That's what she said. Want to get a little bit of sunlight here. Really not gonna hurt anything. So let's see how we did and see the final product. Oh yeah, telling you that template, the radioactive template, is just better. Just worked out better. Kind of zoom in there. I think that looks great. What do you guys think? I mean, you could put, you know, maybe another one here, but you're kind of overdoing it at that point, you know. And this is the danger radiation plate that inspired the entire thing. Anyway, that looks great. We're just going to leave it. Yeah, these came out. Why? I just was a lighter hand on those, I guess, than that one. I did with a heavy hand and paid the price for it. Hopefully I can clean that up. Got some really nice period correct brass parts for this. You guys saw the neck plate, but I got an old Schecter strap button to go there, and Schecter, Charvel, Boogie Bodies, Chandler. They were all kind of in the same time. They all use the same part suppliers, which was probably APM Kaler for the brass stuff. I got a really nice old Schecter knob. I've got some gold tinted brass, whatever brass pickup rings that I need to age to look good on here. But yeah, let's get this. I'm gonna leave this thing out here to dry for the rest of the day here, I think. But we'll get this thing up into the guitar workbench in the metal shop, and I think at this point we're ready to start assembly. So yeah, very cool. Radioactive. All right, real quick. I used some paint thinner and a brush and the good old fingerprint and a little rag there, and I was able to get most of that. If you see, my circle ended up a little bit. I washed away a little bit of my circle there in doing that, but I wish that I had done it immediately after I peeled this. But remember, I let this dry for I'd say at least 48 hours, so that's gonna have to physically be scraped if I care about it. But it's I kind of don't hate it. It kind of fits with the danger radiation, kind of looking a little bit on the melty, kind of rough, kind of, you know, a little bit like, oh my God, radiation got to it, it melted, it ran kind of side there. So at this point, the back, I'm just leaving it. I may flex some of that stuff off with my fingernail. I may not. All right, well, it's been about a week since we got the radioactive painted there, and I wanted to wait because I ran into an issue a few years ago where I had painted a guitar, and I set it on this very workbench, and I left it, you know, I didn't get to it for several weeks, 2-3 weeks, and when I went to move the guitar, the terry cloth, this is just a terry cloth towel here, had stuck and embedded itself into the fresh paint on the edges of that guitar. And I had to, I think I did just a very, very little light touch of wet sanding and buffing to get that off. So anyway, I wanted to wait to let that paint dry. So we're going to talk a little bit here. The next thing I need to do, I want to bolt the neck on. I want to, complete the construction of this guitar, keep, putting it together. But I'm not sure. I have some parts on order that I'm waiting for. I really think that I want to drill out a big old 7/8 hole here and put a regular Gibson style plate with the input output jack. The output jack, this one has, if you'll remember, this end pin. I've never used an end pin, maybe on an acoustic or something, but I like to do the old, you have your strap here, obviously you run the cord through, and I just don't think running the cord through here and then coming back to the end pin is really feasible. It seems to kind of be a shame. This is kind of this, caught in time type of a thing, kind of weird how they did that, but I think I'm 99.9% sure that I am going to drill this out for a standard output jack. The electronics in here, I figured out what they've got here. We've got a 2-wire conductor from the end pin, the old Gibson style, the braided wire where the braided jacket is your ground, and there is your hot, and then we've got, thank goodness, we've got the ground coming from the tune-o-matic. It's tough to see, but at the bottom of this hole here, there is a bunch of wire there, and that is going to be our ground. So what I want to do, sorry, just bear with me here as I'm cleaning out some little bit of schmutz in there. This came with, the inserts were, call it a coarse, very coarse knurled, and the ones that I have here for the Stars brass are most decidedly a finer knurl. I believe that they're going to go right in. I want to get the brass, the bridge and tailpiece mounted and get the neck mounted. I'm 99.9% sure I've already put the neck in and measured with a straight edge. I'm going to need a shim in here to lift it up a little bit. With no shim, this is going to need to be decked, and I don't think that with the studs it's going to go down far enough. So I'm going to preemptively install a pretty good shim in there. I do have, you guys, I don't know if you've seen my really nice tarnished neck plate here. Really looks the part. I got a great, it's falling all over here. This is an old Schecter strap pin that's going to look great on here. And Schecter, Charvel, DiMarzio, Boogie Bodies, they were all using these brass parts made by Stars, made by APM, made by whoever it was. They were all commingled there. So like I said, this is a Schecter part, but this very easily could have been. This is very, very, very similar to a Charvel of the era, although this little stepped ledge, probably saw stuff like this on a PrePro, not a production Charvel. Got a really nice, again, this is a Schecter, really nice knob, and this will fit a solid shaft pot. I'm going to use a brand new solid shaft pot. I'm going to do a treble bleed on it. I have had this treble bleed on hand for a long time, and I have 3 pickup choices. I'm not sure exactly which one I'm going to use. Weigh in on the comments. I have the Seymour Duncan Exciter, which they used to be called the Hunter. That's the George Lynch 80s pickup. His Screaming Demon is most decidedly more like the Lynch Mob tone. The Hunter, or the Exciter, is really more 80s of his Dokken, from his Dokken tone. I have a Doug Aldrich, a Sewer Doug Aldrich pickup I could put in here. I'm really leaning towards using the Exciter, but I also have a Gibson Dirty Fingers in double cream, or sorry, Gibson likes to call it vintage white to get around the the DiMarzio patent, but I also have that. So weigh in on that. Let me know your thoughts on what pickup you're thinking. It's all mahogany. What are you thinking about the output jack or input jack? Output jack, I can never get that right. It's output. The guitar is outputting to the amp. Should I be drilling that for the output jack? I did. So this is so nice. I know I've talked to you guys about this in other videos where these people, you used to not be able to talk to them. Talk to Grover Jackson, talk to Wayne Charvel, talk to Bernie Rico at BC Rich, whomever it is. Anyway, I reached out to Paul Chandler and asked him about this body. And he said because they didn't offer an Explorer on their parts availability. And I bought some literature. I'll show you guys that in a second. Anyway, I reached out to him. He's like, well, we would custom make stuff for guys, whatever they wanted. You know, I think a Star is on there, but we'd make Explorer bodies, we'd make whatever. He said, send me some pictures. So I sent Paul pictures. He was very nice. And he said, that looks like a really nice, well-made body. He said, but we never would have done our neck pocket that way. And this is a real oddball. So anyway, long story short, this is not a Chandler body. Okay, doesn't matter. Still a great, nice body. I should say, when I bought this, I wanted a Star body to use, to do the old Chris Holmes looking Tune-o-matic tailpiece on a Star. But when this came up with the Tune-o-matic and the single hum and this, it was just, it was very fortuitous. I'm like, nope, that's the body. That's what it's going to be. Anyway, so I did pick up some Chandler literature from '86. This stuff is available still. I mean, it's not, but you know what I mean. I found it, someone selling it used. And you could build an entire guitar. And their prices are pretty good. And you got list price, and then these are sheets that went to the dealer. But I'll give you some examples here. So they have Strat bodies here, Telly bodies, Heavy Metal Shark, and I think that's the Star bodies, Explorer style neck. Now, I'm 99.9% sure after looking at this and looking at their list and keeping on looking at this is ebony. I've never ever seen rosewood that's this dark and has this tight of a grain. So I'm 99.9% sure, 99.9% sure that this is an ebony neck. And you could pick one of these up for $150. Oh, sorry, ebony added $5. $155 was the list price. Pretty good deal for the '80s. And the dealer for that $155 would essentially be paying half price, $75.50. But yeah, bodies, Strat style bodies, Telly style bodies. They got bridges. They got Godot bridges. They got Gibson jack plates, Telly, football. They got Graphtec nuts, strap retainers, bone nut curved bottom, humbucker picking ring, shocking pink, Strat body, and heavy metal neck, P-base, Telly, pick guard materials, PJ Marks. That's how they got Brad Gillis and Jeff Watson to do that show at the NAMM show with them there, where they were playing, where Brad Gillis was playing a pink kind of a villain. It's a dinky or a soloist style body here. But they're Strat style bodies. The 1600 series, again, that's a dinky or a soloist style body. But you could pick up all the parts from Chandler, build your own guitar, and I'm betting you could get all these parts for $500-600. Pretty good deal. Anyway, I'm going to quit yapping. I'm going to do this in real time. And just fast forward, speed up the film for you guys. So let's get going here. All right, well, we've reached kind of a sticking point here. I got the bridges installed here and put the neck on, and I mean, I am going to need a sizable shim. It's like a piece of business card stock or whatever is not going to do it. There's witness marks in here from when I got the guitar. It had a shim in it. I'm gonna get the StewMac full pocket shims. I thought I had more of them on hand. I had a couple of knockoffs and one small StewMac. I think I'm gonna need the full 1 degree shim from StewMac in that pocket, and I'm gonna do it nice, the whole pocket. I'm not gonna do it, kind of half. I'm gonna get this. I'll do some electronics work off camera. I'm gonna get this thing soldered up. I am gonna use this other hole here. I'm not gonna put a tone. I am gonna put, I have a really nice flat toggle off an old Kramer that's brass, and you can see the brass peeking through. It'll really match the patina here. I'm gonna wire in a kill switch there, and my idea actually was to wire up both input jacks. I'm gonna wire up the end pin straight in, plug it in, it works, and I'm gonna wire up this one, if I end up putting this one in, to the kill switch, because I'll probably end up using that one more of the time. So kind of concerned about the neck angle, but if this had I don't think this is, I'll have to check it versus my other two pneumatics. I don't believe it's really any taller. I could pull this whole thing back out, and I could countersink and gain. I actually could, I may end up doing that. I could countersink for, and this thing comes off. You saw it go on hard and come off hard. There we go. I probably mushroomed out the heads there a little bit when I hammered them on with a big old framing hammer. Anyway, let's just show this one here. I could countersink that, and it's not that may be the thing to do. I think that these are flush in the back. I think that's going to be the move there, is to pull these back out and countersink that hole just a little bit. You're going to gain quite a bit there. It doesn't take much. Man, that thing does not want to come off. Anyway, I'll work on that after. Gonna have to stop there. This video's already gonna have gone on long enough. There's gonna be a few more parts to this, at least a couple more. I am waiting for parts. I have a really nice brass pickup ring. It's being built for me by Dave over at Frets on the Net. It's gonna come in aged and tarnished. I have an input jack, Gibson style, aged and tarnished in brass, and I have brass Charvel string trees to replace this kind of real crappy Fender one. I'll put on at least one, if not two, there. So as always, my friends, thank you so much for watching. Truly appreciate your support. Please give me the thumbs up. It really helps algorithm to recommend my videos. If you're new here, please subscribe. Tons of great stuff on my channel. Recommend my videos to your friends. And yeah, truly do appreciate your support. Here's the Chandler Rising Sun Danger Radiation PrePro. Take care. You guys are still here? What's up? All right. Thanks for sticking around and noticing there was a little bit more time left in this video. I wanted to do just a very brief little segment here. I've kind of done it before in some of my videos, and it's kind of along the lines of the mean tweets segment that Jimmy Kimmel does on his Late Show. And the first one, and he's trolled me a couple of times on YouTube, from Nasty Canasta. And here is his comment. So I'm like, why would I bother? You just don't get the concept. This is it's a relic. It's a rat rod. I was embracing the bad paint job. I could have stripped it. I could have grain filled it. And I could have put a proper, fantastic paint job on and cleared it and wet sanded and buffed it and made it perfect. like a $6,000-$7,000 Jackson if I'd wanted to, but I chose to embrace the nicks and the dings and my mistakes in the paint and really just make it like, a rat rod, a relic. People are paying a lot more. They're paying Tom Murphy, extra $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 on top of the price of a Les Paul for aging. And I just love it. I love the way the paint has cracked and crazed in here. I love the nicks and dings. I love the way that this turned out. It looks like the radioactivity is melting the paint on the back. I'm embracing my mistakes. I'm embracing this guitar for exactly what it is. All right? Your loss if you don't get it. Next, this was a comment I received on Reverb. I'm selling my Jeff Beck Telly Gib, and I looked him up, little punk kid, about 24 years old, and here is his comment. And to that, I say it doesn't look anything like Jeff Beck's Telly Gib because of the body contours, which I clearly stated in the auction that I did compromise using the body contours. And here, let's do a quick side-by-side comparison of my guitar versus Jeff's actual guitar. All right. It looked pretty good to me. I thought I did a pretty decent job. Yes, I did concede in using a body with the contours, but to me that just adds in comfort and playability. And to say it looks nothing like Jeff Beck's guitar, how hateful are you? Just how bad is your life that you're making, you're sending direct messages to me on Reverb about a guitar I'm trying to sell, and then to say it's laughably inaccurate because of the contours, which I clearly stated in the auction, or it looks nothing like Jeff Beck's guitar, which it clearly looks exactly like Jeff Beck's guitar, and he likes to sand in for him contours, and then to say doesn't even look like a Telly. I don't know. Looks like a Telly to me. Thanks, my friends. Take care.